Phones across Hollywood buzzed almost at the same time as messages popped up and alerts flashed, followed by a headline that made many people stop scrolling. Because after 9 long years together, Mel Gibson and Rosalind Ross were no longer a couple, and almost no one expected it. 4 years, many believed their relationship would not last because of the 35-year age gap, with critics saying it was only a matter of time before everything fell apart. Yet Mel and Rosalind stayed together, built a life, shared a home, and welcomed a son, which made many people believe this relationship was different and meant to last. Then suddenly, it ended. A short public statement said they decided to separate peacefully, that they still respected each other, and that they would focus on raising their son together. But the words felt very careful, almost too careful, and anyone who knows Mel Gibson history understands that quiet endings often hide deep reasons. Mel Gibson life has been full of highs and lows, with past relationships ending loudly and painfully, involving court battles and shocking headlines. So this calm breakup feels unusual and has raised many questions. People keep asking why this happened now, especially as Mel is close to turning 70, a stage of life where energy slows and priorities change, while Rosalind is in her mid-30s and still shaping her future with many paths ahead. And living in such different life stages can slowly pull two people apart even when love exists. When they first met, their story felt like something from a film, not at a party or public event but through work, when Rosalind was hired as a writer for Mel Production Company, with him already famous and her just beginning, and while it started professionally, feelings grew over time. The public reacted strongly, with some offering support and others judging harshly, calling it a late-life crisis or a story of personal change. But what stood out was that Rosalind became a steady support during a time when Mel was trying to rebuild his career and public image after past mistakes. She stayed calm, avoided drama, and stood by him. But supporting someone with a heavy past requires constant energy and patience, and over time that role can become exhausting. Many believe Rosalind became more than a partner, acting as a shield between Mel and constant criticism. And whispers have long suggested that this balance could not last forever. At first, an age gap can seem manageable, but with time it shows up in daily routines, where one person wants rest and the other wants growth, turning small differences into large emotional distances. There was also the challenge of Mel's large family, as he has 8 other children from earlier relationships, some older than Rosalind, and becoming part of such a complex family brings pressure and emotional strain that can quietly weaken a bond. Their son Lars, now 7 years old, remains the center of their shared focus, and while they were never married and will not go through a traditional divorce, decisions about parenting, time, and finances still need careful handling, even when things appear friendly on the surface. Observers noticed signs before the announcement, with recent public appearances showing more space between them, tighter smiles, and less warmth, signs often ignored until everything suddenly makes sense. Many believe they may have lived separate lives for some time, staying together for their child and choosing the right moment to speak, since timing and silence are often planned in famous circles. Money also plays a role, as Mel Gibson's wealth is significant and past separations taught him to protect himself legally, meaning Rosalind may not receive the same protections as a spouse, although raising a child together means private agreements likely exist, and quiet separations often signal strong legal planning. For Rosalind, this moment may represent freedom, as she is young, skilled, and experienced, ready to focus on her own dreams after spending nearly a decade supporting someone else's journey. For Mel, the future feels less certain, as he is older, a single father again, and still followed by his past, with some wondering how the film industry will respond without Rosalind by his side, since she helped make him acceptable again in many circles. In entertainment, personal life often affects work life, and a breakup can raise concerns about stability, making this separation more than just personal, but professional as well. At its core, this story is about time, showing how two people can care deeply yet grow apart when their paths no longer match, especially in relationships with large age differences, where one person looks ahead and the other reflects back. Mel and Rosalind stayed together far longer than many expected, with 9 years being no small achievement. But time moves forward for everyone, and now the public watches closely to see whether they truly remain friendly, whether conflicts emerge, or whether they quietly move on for the sake of their son. What is clear is that this moment marks not only the end of a relationship but the closing of a chapter in Mel Gibson's life and the opening of a new one for Rosalind Ross. And while the announcement sounded calm, the deeper story is emotional, layered, and far from finished.